It's been quite a while since I've done one of these kind of review slash demo of my own machine. One of my own machines, shall I say. I wanted to do this one for a few different reasons. So the first reason was this build actually came out really nice. It's comparatively low spec, but it's a very nice build. I don't know why this happens, but some builds just come out better than others. All of my builds I expect to hit a certain performance point, particularly with regard to, the parts need to hit the performance that they're expected to hit, or I won't sell the system, which obviously would suggest something's wrong with it. But that being said, there's just kind of an intangible... I can't really explain it. Some builds just come out really well, regardless of how high-end or low-end. I have high-end builds that just come out, average, and then I have a low-end build like this that comes out amazing. It happens. So the other reason why I wanted to go over this build is because, so I don't do a lot of AMD FX builds. It's not bad hardware. Some people complain that's bad hardware. It's not bad hardware. It's just, it's got to be the right hardware. Any random AMD FX 8-core chip, or even 6 or 4 if you go that low, will not do. There's only specific chips that you want in these. There's only specific boards that you want these on. So I'm going to dive into that and give you guys an idea of what to expect if you actually buy one of these, and what to buy and what not to buy. So a few different factors with this. One is we've got the high-end board. That's an ASUS Sabertooth 990 FX board. I know different people have different preferences on brand of boards. I think for this particular chipset and this particular generation of chips, I think ASUS made the best boards. The Sabertooth, and I can't remember what the other one is, but it's some sort of ROG something or another. It's obvious the boards, they're the black and red color scheme on them. You can easily recognize them. But those are the only two that I really think are that good. I think MSI might have had a high-end one, and I think Gigabyte might have had a high-end one. I don't see them very often, though, because most people that bought high-end boards for FX bought these ASUS boards. The next thing, and I don't know if anyone else has had this issue, but I've had a lot of performance problems with 970 FX boards. I definitely cannot recommend a system or a board with 970 chipset in it. You want the 990 FX if you're going to buy AMD FX. That's just end of story. 990 is what you want. Just weird stuff, random slowdowns, things like that. And I tested several different boards by multiple manufacturers and multiple different chips, multiple video cards, multiple sets of RAM, multiple storage devices. It was definitely the platform itself that was the problem. So stay away from 970. Don't buy a system with 970. Don't buy a board with 970. Not for gaming. The next thing is the processor itself. Do not buy anything less than an FX 8350. That is the chip that you want. I guess if it's a giveaway deal, that's one thing, but if you're actually paying market value, I would define anything less than an FX 8350 as zero value. There's no value. It's free or nothing. I'm serious. You want FX 8350. I think there may have been an 8370, and then there was a 95... I think there was a 9570 and a 9590. You don't see the 9570 and 9590 very often, and they've got some fairly high power requirements. There's only a few boards that can actually run them properly, so you just don't see them very much. Most of what you'll see is 8350 and under. So don't buy 6-core FX. Don't buy 4-core FX. If it's a gaming system and it says it's got a 4-core FX, it's not a gaming system. Do not buy it. I'm sorry for the hate, but it just is what it is. So the next thing on these is power and heat. FX chips put out a lot of heat. The original stock cooler that these come with is insufficient. Do not run these, and do not buy one with stock cooler. The stock cooler see if I have one sitting here. Thought I had one. Oh, there it is. This is the stock cooler that comes with these. If you can get the thermals to be the right temperatures, I mean, if you can get the thermals stable, it'll physically work. You probably don't want to put prolonged load on it with one of these, but it will be a jet engine. It will be so loud that it will be almost unusable, like it's that bad. These need aftermarket cooling. This particular unit has a Corsair liquid cooler on it. I did try it with the air cooler, and it wasn't hitting the numbers I wanted. It wasn't there. I was going to use this cooler on an Intel system, but these have to have aftermarket cooling. There's not really any way around it. It doesn't need to be fancy aftermarket cooling. It doesn't need, a massive, 280 millimeter, whatever. This thing more than suffices. The numbers are right where I want them to be. It's perfectly satisfactory cooling. Even like a Hyper 212 Evo, great cooler, that would be more than sufficient. Just anything that's not that AMD cooler, that thing is terrible. They should be ashamed of themselves for including that thing. That thing has been a nightmare the entire time these things have been around. What else with this? So the next thing with this is that you need a high-end, no, maybe not high-end, but you need a reasonably high wattage, reasonably decent name brand power supply for these. These draw a lot of power, and the other thing to consider is that generally you're not going to be getting a shiny new ultra low wattage power consumption video card with these. Like this card, this MSI R9 290, or I'm sorry, it's a 280. It delivers. The reason I didn't put a higher end video card in is video cards have gotten a little expensive, and I wanted this to hit a certain price point. And I couldn't do that with a $150 video card. 970s are getting hard to get for under $150. So, and this delivered frame rates that I was more than satisfied with, even on competitive stuff like Fortnite, Apex Legends, or even, one generation. I tested it with, Far Cry 5, and it ran great. Ultra settings, I think 45 FPS, so it ran just fine. So there was no reason to blow the budget for the system on a higher end card. But the thing to be aware of is when you do that, you do need a high-end power supply, because these cards do require a lot of power. They're not single 6-pin or even motherboard-powered cards like some similar performance newer cards. So definitely you want name brand high wattage power supply. So what are we looking at next? So as far as price for something like this, you could definitely find some of these parts on bargain basement prices, but I can't sell the systems at those kind of prices. For me to do these type of builds, these are very time consuming. To make a build look like this, it takes hours to do it. I mean, I could probably do a speed build in maybe an hour, but to do it right and to do it well and to be careful, you're usually talking a couple of hours, and to do all that game testing so that I know exactly what price point this is going to hit based on performance, it's very time consuming. So I can't just sell these things for, the absolute market bottom dollar. But that being said, this is probably going to be a $400, maybe a little more price point machine, which, if you look at actual prices for the parts, normal going rates, that's basically what the parts are worth. You're probably looking $200, maybe a little less, depending on the deal you find for a good board, chip, and RAM, something like the Sabertooth with the 8350, 16 gigs of good RAM. I mean, what is that? I think that's G-Skill Ripjaws. I don't remember for sure. I think that's G-Skill Ripjaws, but it's something high quality, and it's 2x8, which is a little bit more expensive. But I mean, you're looking probably not less than 150. I don't think you'll find it less than 150, but probably more like 200 for the board, chip, and RAM. A decent liquid cooler, you're looking $40, $50, something like that. A decent 2 terabyte hard drive, which that is not an SSD, but it is a decent high performance Seagate 2 terabyte. It doesn't quite have the SSD snappiness, but it is fast enough. It is not sluggish. It performs, I mean, it performs well enough that game frame rates didn't suffer based on loading times and stuff like that, which I do see. If it's a slow hard drive, you will see that, which this isn't. Good 600 watt name brand power supply, you're looking $50, maybe $40 on the lowest low end on the secondary market. Hard drive, $50. That video card, any low end but functional, modern enough to run reasonably modern games video card, you're looking $40, $50 a card, maybe a lot more in some markets. So, I mean, realistically, $450 is actual value of the parts. And obviously, these aren't being sold to people who either want or can build their own systems. These are being sold to people who need to buy a system from someone else. So anyway, I hope you guys kind of find this an interesting look into what I build. Obviously, normally all you're going to see is the game demo videos, just showing the games running. You're not usually seeing the final hardware that I'm actually producing. So I wanted to give you guys kind of a look at what I'm building right now. So anyway, I hope everybody finds this interesting and informative, and thanks for watching the video.